Hell yeah. So today I am in the seat with Vincenzo Valentino. Go by Vinny. Vincenzo.
Vinny. Yeah, Vincenzo, Vinny. Vinny is more like Vincenzo. I feel like I'm in trouble.
Yeah. I love it though.
A little flashback.
So Vinny owns Advise Real Estate Services in Southington, Connecticut. Owns a commercial building up there, a beautiful building right in downtown Southington. And has been in real estate now since 2015 or so.
Yeah, 2015. Seems longer, but
it's 8-9 years. That's a long time.
It goes by like that.
Yep. And before this, previously in the DJ business.
Yeah. For
20 plus years, probably, right?
I started really young, 11 years old. So yeah, it was a minute.
I cannot wait to chat about that. And where do you live now?
Wolcott, Connecticut.
Awesome. You have a lake house, I think?
Yeah, so
we're
near
the lake?
We're right on Lake Hitchcock in Wolcott.
Fantastic. Okay, awesome. So I was super excited about today's convo, especially because you're a guy that loves to pound the pavement. We were talking about getting back to the basics.
True.
In this environment where you're getting in front of people, picking up the phone, dialing, sitting down, meeting people for lunch, dinner, coffee, breaking bread, and like that is probably the best way to do business.
I think it's 100% the way to do it, you know, like face-to-face conversations, getting out there, talking to people. I'm a big believer of like that top of mind method. So the more you're out chatting, the more people are like, you're top of mind and you're talking to them. And I love talking. I love being out in front of people and, BSing and stuff like that. You know?
Do people say you're the guy that just doesn't stop? Like they'll walk away from comedy like, fucking guy Vinny just doesn't shut up.
Yeah, they might say that. Yeah, they might say that.
Unreal. So before we dive in, I'd like to ask if anyone's watching the video today and enjoyed it, has a question, liked something that we talked about, they could leave a comment, leave a like, or share this video. That'd mean a ton.
Absolutely.
So Vin, I want to start with kind of to set up a background of your story. I think I always have to go back to where people grew up, their parents, where they came from, and the story of their parents ends up kind of bleeding into the children.
Yeah, so my parents' story is super cool. I mean, my father and mother are both from Puglianello, which is it's from the Provincia di Benevento, right outside of Naples. Campania is where we call it.
Yep.
Which might be one of the best places to be in Italy. I'm just saying. I mean, no disrespect to Sicily or anywhere else, but like Campania is just super like family oriented. You know, a lot of passion comes from there, whether it's in the cooking, the soccer, or anything.
But now my parents or my grandparents from Benevento.
Yeah, we
area.
were talking to your dad.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Unbelievable.
Which is crazy.
How big is Puglianello?
Puglianello is like
do you know how many people?
It's got to be close to maybe a little bit over 1,000, if anything.
Jesus,
I mean, it's small. Yeah, it's super small. It's like when I go there, my father would always say, like, don't get in trouble. Everybody knows you. You know what I mean? So it's like, the piazza, and then you have like, where my mother's from, which is like down by Shum, they call it, like down by the river. So, my parents originally both from the same town in Italy, both came over to America, and they actually met again. My father was in Toronto for a weekend. So my mom went to Toronto, where my grandfather lived. My father came to the New Haven.
They never knew each other in Italy.
I think they knew of each other, family,
Gotcha.
But when they came here, my father went up to Toronto for a weekend. Funny story, he actually went with, Gaetano Mara.
Oh, yeah.
So Gaetano Mara's dad and my dad were super close.
No way.
Yeah, in each other's wedding parties, stuff like that. So he went up to Toronto one weekend and met my mom.
Is that the side of Hashemi? Do you know Amir Hashemi?
Amir Hashemi, no.
He's cousins with Gaetano Mara. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, through mutual events and stuff like that. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So they end up meeting in Toronto. And do they date right away? Or do they
dated. So my father, on the weekend, would get out of work, drive up there, spend the weekend, hang out, come back. So it's like, I mean, that's a ride.
That's
too.
a trip. How long is that?
Oof, it's got to be like probably 6.5, 7 hours. Good.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, from New Haven. So I remember the funniest story that he told me once was that him and Gaetano's dad did the trip in an Alfa Romeo Spider, like a rag top.
Yeah.
So when they got up there, they were like, their heads were because it was like all the way up. So yeah, I remember him telling that story a lot, like how he would go up there and see her and stuff. So it was pretty interesting. Like it's almost like a fate story. So that's like my big belief. I guess my first introduction to fate, what happens will happen.
Let's talk about hardship, because mom and dad had some obstacles.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
and a lot of people, I think, that came over from Italy that I know in that time period, my grandparents, same thing. They've all faced obstacles one way or another.
Oh God, yeah. My mom came from being in Puglianello. She lost her mom when she was 12, I believe. So she was, her, my uncle, my 2 aunts, my oldest aunt, ended up raising them because my grandfather was, working and everything. So my oldest aunt, my Zimariet, was the one who kind of like raised the group, which was tough. So they had the hardships from there. My father was like super well educated in Italy, and then came to a point where it's like, all right, now what do I do? So always had dreams, aspirations to come to America. The craziest thing is like so my father came to America, started working, and my my grandparents sent my uncle. They said, hey, go over and get your brother. So my uncle came over here to grab my dad. My uncle ended up staying. So then it was like my grandmother used to say to my grandfather, like, our kids are in America. We're here, So my grandfather said, all right, let's go. And he packed up and came. So his whole running joke to us was like, I'm here because your father wanted to come here,
Yeah.
So my father saw the opportunity and said, like, he obviously had bigger dreams and stuff like that, but totally glad that he did it,
Mm-hmm. He came here. Does he know English?
No. So he came and he was, came in, had a bunch of friends, obviously, that he knew from town. So he was in New Haven, met up, and, they were going out looking for work. So one of the things I always remember him telling me when he was looking for work was, it wasn't like you went in and they're like, hey, go talk to that guy over there. He'll help you out in Italian,
Yeah.
Like they would take up applications, just rip it up in front of you. Yeah. And just so he ended up getting a dictionary that we still have. So it was like English to Italian. So he pretty much just sat there at night, would teach himself and learned English. And he was his accent wasn't thick, you know what I mean? Like he had an accent, but he very had like had the ability to speak like English, not like too much broken English.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
and then
a
he
big
could
benefit.
turn like right into turn in and talk like Neapolitan dialect, and then shift back over and have like a proper Italian convo. So
no way.
His language was dope. It was
So
pretty
he
cool.
had because like for my grandparents, like the dialect's much different, but he was able to speak like real Italian.
Oh yeah, yeah. He could turn it on and off. Like it was pretty cool to see. Because like sometimes we'd be around my friends and like we're all super, dialect, like naboli non-dialect. And, cutting words off and stuff. So my father, I would hear him talking with us, and then at a party he would be speaking to somebody, and it was just like proper Italian. I'm like, wow, that's like. I mean, I learned it, but it's tough. You know what I mean? I always shift back to the dialect.
Unreal. Isn't the dialect though like considered like low class?
Yeah, it's a slang. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. So I mean, I remember last time I was in Italy, I was like waiting. I was outside. We were in Rome, and I saw this watch that I really wanted. And I asked the girl. She was smoking a cigarette in front of the store. So I asked her. I said, "Hey, you know what time the store opens?" And she just looked at me, and I asked her in dialect. So she just looked at me, and she's like shrugged her shoulders. So I'm like, okay. She finished the cigarette, got up, and opened up the store. It was her store, and I was like, wow. So I couldn't even do anything because I really wanted the watch. I knew that I wouldn't find it here. So I ended up like having to buy it from her, and she like totally like snubbed her nose because I was like talking the Neapolitan dialect,
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I was like, wow. And I remember coming home and everybody's like, yeah, man, that's kind of like what it is. When you talk the slang, it's like a lot of people don't like it,
That is crazy.
But I keep on speaking.
Yeah. You don't let that stop you.
No.
Unreal. So dad didn't come over here with a war chest, few $100,000, a couple million.
I think it was like 18, 20 bucks. I mean, we heard that story a lot, like he just came from something and made a living for all of us, which was, it's amazing. I think, when you sit there and look at it and, you look at like, 17-year-old kids or 18-year-old kids, and you think like what they had to go through, what they had to endure to come over here, like his joke about going on a cruise would always be like, why are you guys going on cruises? Because like his thought of a cruise was like, he's like, I remember the guy singing and holding on because the ship was like all over the place. So I'm like, Dad, they're not like that now. You know what I mean? They're really cool. So it was kind of funny, but a lot of struggle. I mean, 17 years old, just getting off and being like, here I am. It's tough,
One thing I love talking about is people's parents' backgrounds, because everybody that I've had on the podcast is pretty successful.
Yeah.
And you're able to look and see the struggle of everyone's story, and there's lessons in each story.
100%.
It's a little different, and I love that. So dad comes over. He starts working as a foreman.
He was working at Safeco as a foreman. They would like wind motors. The other thing that he was super passionate about was Italian music. So now you have a kid. He came over and he started doing little radio shows.
How old was he when he came?
17.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he started doing like radio shows at St. Michael's Church. So St. Michael's Church used to have like a radio show where they would go on and talk about church, etc. And then my father would go on for like 15, 20 minutes and just play Italian music.
No way.
Yeah. So he used to call his show like The Sounds of Italy. And one of the things that he always used to say in that was like una finestra su Italia, like, you know, a window to Italy, meaning like here's the window looking to Italy with all this beautiful music playing, which was good for the people that were here because they enjoyed the music and were able to listen to it. So I guess he was always trying to keep that Italian heritage and culture together. You know, even when he was here, he knew that he came from Italy, and he knew that there was a lot of people here that were from Italy. So in his head, he just wanted to always keep that kind of together. Like, never forget where you came from. You know, here's our music, here's our heritage. Like, he did a lot for community events, like always putting dinner dances together. You know, so
no way.
Yeah, I'm sure like a lot of people in the New Haven area, if they met at a dinner dance, it was probably one that my father put together. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you just like in a church hall, put like music on, have people meet up and go there. So
where in New Haven did you grow up? What part?
Oh, it was right. You know where the Hamden? It's like Hamden, New Haven line, right by the Hamden Barber Shop.
Okay.
Super Stop and Shop, like down in that area. He had an apartment there. But yeah, I remember all those times of the stories of working, going home, learning, reading to himself. And yeah, I know he has fun too. They had their fun of going out. And sometimes I hear, again, with Gaetano's dad, if you get them on here, you know what I mean? Get Gaetano on here to talk about it. It would probably be hysterical.
That is so fun.
Yeah.
Where did we go in New Haven for coffee? You had a friend that owns a shop.
Pino Ciccone.
Okay.
Yeah, so Pino Ciccone owns P&M Deli.
Gotcha.
So Mario Ciccone, Pino's dad,
Yep.
and my father knew each other back in the day when Mario used to have a band.
Unreal.
Yeah, so Mario Ciccone had a band, an Italian band, like a dope band. Like he probably I'm not sure if he still plays now, but he had like a band that they would do like Italian music, renditions, like 50, 60 renditions of American music, like cover band type. Yeah. So my father and them worked together. And my father had a band also. Yeah. So I remember that too as a kid, going with them. Yeah. Managed a band, and we would go, and I'd sit next to the drummer, and every time sticks would break, I would hand it to him. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Unreal. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Hamden, Connecticut.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we lived on Lexington Street in Hamden.
Yep.
87, we moved to near Paradise Country Club. In that area, like Mount Carmel area.
Yep.
So I lived there.
You went to Hamden
High, Dragons. Whew.
Unreal. You play any sports there?
Yeah, soccer.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, you still play.
Yeah, right now in an over 40 league.
Yeah.
So times have changed, but yeah, it's still good. I love the sport. You know, I took a break from it for a long time when Alessia was super into soccer. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Alessia was into soccer, so we were always busy with her. So on the weekends, it was tough to like commit to a team, you know. And these teams, believe it or not, like even our teams, it's, you know, we travel. You know, sometimes we're coming up to Fairfield or going up to different places. So it's like a 45-minute ride and stuff. So you want to be able to commit. You don't want to get to a game and be like, oh, I can't make it or whatever, and leave the guys with like 7 or 8. So took a little break from it. But then now that she's done, it's
You're
like
back in it.
Time for us to get back in it.
I absolutely love that. Now, by the way, the 40 over league's fantastic.
We just shout out to our team. We just we won the league, actually second place in the league, and we got bumped up to Division 1. The Division 1 league of over 40. So.
Wow! So now it's going to get serious.
Now it's going to get serious. Now everybody's like David Goggins. Hopefully they're all training.
That is so funny. Yeah, they're going to be out at 5:30 runs in the morning.
I hope so. I see a lot of our posts like everybody's having a good time. So every once in a while we're like, "Yo, everybody, all right? What are we doing? We got to get ready for the season." You know.
When does it start?
April.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have we're doing indoor now. Indoor's tough. I don't know if you play soccer.
I used to. Yeah.
Yeah. Indoor's tough. It's like. Some of the arenas that we play in are cold, so like getting those runs in, it's like playing outside or running outside. You get like, you got that hole right here, and you're like, oh, I can't breathe, you know. But
I love that feeling.
Yeah, well, it means that you're working.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I guess I just don't love the feeling after. Like, you know, you walk outside, you're like, all right, let this feeling go away. You know, but I think any kind of activity is always good for us. You know.
100% clears the mind, gets the endorphins going. It's big time.
100%.
So if anyone wants to watch, you can be like ESPN, or where can we find you?
Ooh, man, we didn't cut a deal yet. No, not ESPN. We just had a younger kid take over. It's the SASL league.
Yep.
So this kid's actually introducing like Instagram and stuff like that. So which is cool because a lot of people that go to watch, sometimes they'll have videos or posts about the game. So now people are jumping onto the Instagram page and sharing like goals and posts
that's
and
pretty
stuff
cool.
like that, which is pretty cool. So people are able to see, you know. I mean, we've got some pretty thorough players on our team. So you get some goals that you're like, man, fucking ESPN should have been here for that one, you know?
I was busting her balls. But that's funny.
No. But yeah, it's pretty cool that, not televised or whatever, but it's cool.
Who's your soccer team?
My team is club. It's Napoli.
No. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the team I have now, our team, the club.
I was like, who do you like in like Serie A or?
Oh, Napoli.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Napoli. Okay. Yeah. So they're actually they won the championship last year. Serie A. So awesome team.
And again, that's like
Well, no, not a game.
Yeah.
I've never been. I've been to, Naples around the stadium, but never a game. Which last year was the time that we wanted to go. But
pull the trigger this year.
Pull the trigger this year. We have to get there, even if it's for a week. I know it sounds crazy to say like, you go to Italy for a week. How can you do that? But if you hit the ground running, you get there, you land, and you go, you could get it done.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, knock out a lot.
Knock it out. See family. Have some dinners. Go to a game. I think it would be awesome.
So you play soccer in high school. Around that time, you start working with your dad.
Yeah. So at 11.
So dad's got
before high school.
He's got the Italian radio show. He's got his band. But you start working with him in the
DJ business. So he bought some equipment, and I was 11, and I think he was just like, hey, I'm gonna go do like these little parties, like baptisms, anniversaries.
So you start working with him when he starts the business.
Yeah,
It started with you too.
Yeah, he started it. Oh. Yeah, he started it. I remember like I probably still have one of the little business cards. And I remember going to, oh my God, what was the name of that place? There's a place in North Haven off Socket Point Road. DJ something, we bought some equipment, and I remember he started like booking little parties, and we would go do them, like baptisms, anniversaries, dinner dances, New Year's Eve parties, Yeah, like my first New Year's Eve that I went out was probably 2012. I was always like, we would always be doing New Year's Eve parties.
Oh my God, you were always working.
Yeah,
DJing.
We were doing New Year's Eve events. So
the DJ business, what's the best night of the year? Is it New Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve is cool. I mean, it's
where do you
like
make the most money? Or is it at weddings?
I think weddings.
Gotcha.
Yeah, weddings, especially like when we changed it. It used to just be like we would go out and just do events. So then like when I got like more and more involved in it, I started seeing like, all right, everybody's coming to me when they're engaged. So I started adding like invitations, limousines.
Add-on packages?
Yeah, photo booths, event lighting. So pretty much like if you came to me, like our weddings were, I think like for, a night was like $1,200. But if you came to me and was like, hey, we're doing music for you, then we're doing a photo lounge, then we're doing, event lighting, it ended up being like $3,000, But it was more of like a consulting, like wedding package,
You'd get limousines for the people too?
Yeah. So I had a connection with limousine companies. So like I knew what they would charge for, 24 passenger or whatever. So when they were coming in and were saying like, hey, the only thing we need is like a limo, I was able to talk to them and say, all right, I know that a limo will cost X amount of dollars. Let me see if this guy has it available for that day. It was just one less thing for them to
worry about,
to do. So kind of like where it went into like exactly what I'm doing now. You know what I mean? Like people are coming in, they don't know the whole process. They just got engaged. They're all excited. They want to get married, but then like we're there to help them out. So the same thing with like houses now. People come in like, hey, I got a good job. I want to buy a house. And then we're there to get them a lender, an inspector, an attorney, everything that they need, I
want to touch on that later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell the story because like that blew my mind yesterday.
Yeah.
I did it this morning on a Twitter post, and I'm going to continue to do it like probably every day.
No way.
And we'll talk about that because I'm going to start reviewing my day to make sure that happens. But that was a major tip for me, but also any lenders, agents, insurance people, any business owner can really actually take what we talked about yesterday at lunch.
Absolutely.
And implement it into, let's say, social media to connect with more clients, to drive more business and really create emotion, which is you're telling a story and building relationships.
100%.
So I'm actually so pumped for that. So how was it like working with Dad?
It was great, man. It was awesome because he's like for all my friends and for like, my family members that know him, he was like an awesome dude, he was really like
Ralph.
Yeah. Raphael, but like, Ralph,
Yep.
He was a great guy. And it's crazy to think back now about like how many lessons, like he kind of like airdropped into our heads, without like grabbing us and saying, oh, like you got to listen to me. So working with him was great because I just got to see like, I got to see what it's like to take care of somebody and be respected and then like build a business just from like, I'll be there this day. I'll take care of you this day. I'll do this. I saw like him in action and it just kind of like always sits in my head even today, like the way I do business. You know what I mean? It's just very like think about people's best interests, you know, put your best foot forward, always take care of them, always do the right thing by them, and you're going to be okay, you know? So that's the way, like, I thought it was great. And then it was just great because he was always there, you know what I mean? Like, we're setting up together, we're breaking down together, we're driving home together.
Yep.
You know, the next morning, like, you know, like it was a joke, like we used to sit around the table and like we'd say like, all right, you know, like what do we make this weekend? And my mom would come in and he would like pretend to hide it, you know what I mean? Like, oh no, we're doing our accounts or whatever, but like just kidding around. Like he had that kind of like sense of humor, you know?
That is awesome.
Yeah, so I learned like a lot of lessons. It was awesome working with him. I can't say it enough. Like, definitely set me up without knowing, like, you know, you could do it. And then like building in that whole things that they went through, you know, like not every party's going to go the way it should, or not everything's, you know, you just got to tackle it the best you could and make the best of it, you know?
Do you have any stories of parties not going the way they should have? Do you remember any?
Not going the way we should have.
Or like nightmares that you were like, oh, this was...
A couple of the nightmares, I came like after he was kind of out of it. The one thing I always remember was that, like, you know, I feel like I go like at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
My father was...
By the way, this conversation, we've never talked this fast. I think we're flying.
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
we're flying? Is it this? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like, you know, with him, he was like, you know, he would take his time doing things where I was like always like, all right, let me do this, let me do that. Yeah. So when it started getting to the point of, you know, it was getting busier. Like I had a kid, Dan Schmidt, who was excellent. He still DJs now. He was working with me. So I was able to say, okay, I'll do this party. This one ends at 5. I got another one that starts at 7. And then I got tomorrow, you know.
Yep.
So my father would be like, oh, you're going crazy. You're doing this. You're doing that. So then it was funny because like at the end when he was trying to like not really get out of it, but kind of like slow down with it, he would say, you know, oh, you're doing too much, you know, and I would call him. So I'd get nervous calling him being like, Dad, just like go to Anthony's Ocean View and make sure that they're set up. And then I'm going to be there an hour later. So he would like bitch at me on the phone, not like bad, but just like, oh, I told you, you can't do that. You can't go back to, and he would hang up and he'd go to my mom. He'd say like, see, he still needs me, you know, he still needs me. Like it would make him feel better like that I was calling and stuff. So, I think that was the thing, like when it started getting bigger, and I think like anything else, obviously it's, like, you know, like when it started to get crazy and you started to take on so much, it kind of like, that's what I was lacking, you know, like, he had the steam to do it, but he's been doing it his whole life. So he was like around, you know, 60 or whatever. So he was like, all right, you're going crazy. I'm kind of not, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So that was the only thing. But as far as parties, I got to say, like, you know, we've had a couple people pass out on the dance floor.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, a couple fights break out because people who's drunk, who's not. Yeah. I've seen like awkward, you know, like divorced wedding when you're lining them up to bring them into the into the venue, you know. I did find one guy, like one day we were at a wedding and I couldn't find the groom. I ended up finding him in, you know, he was with his friends in the bridal suite.
Oh,
doing some things that they should have been doing at the time. So like I had to clean him up and get him down to go cut the cake. And then the funniest thing is that like the rest of the night, every time he made eye contact, it was like this awkward, like he would point at me like I hooked him up and I was just like, don't look at me, dude. Like it was just weird because like his wife was so pissed. And when I found him, I was like, yo, come on, man, what are you doing? And all his friends were like, bad influence, man. When your guys are getting married, just let them be. You know what I mean? Party the next day. Yeah. It was just hysterical. But other than that, I think everything, we always tried to make everything go as smooth as possible. You know?
I love it. I see the same thing with, you know, me, my dad, my brother. I used to work in Manhattan, you know, Wall Street gig, and I talked to my parents almost every day, but I didn't see them maybe 2 to 3 times a month. Yeah. Now I see I work in the family business. I see my dad minimum 4 to 5 times a week. Yeah. My brother I see every day. In my mom, I don't work directly within the mortgage business, but the real estate we do, and I see her 3 times a week. And that has been a great switch. Yeah. Being able to spend more time with my family, work with them. And I forgot where I heard it, but it's like you want to find people that you love and then incorporate them into your life and spend time with them, grow businesses together, like vacation together, all that stuff. And I think that's so important. 100%. I think that's like a blessing. I could tell you that. Yeah. Because like most of I mean, it was tough, obviously. I think like losing any parent, you know, is tough. But for me, it was like a triple, quadruple whammy, you know, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. You know what I mean? Like the time that we spent together, because like anything else, he wasn't not home because he didn't want to be. He was like, okay, I'm working, you know, second shift, and then I'm DJing on the weekends. Yep. So he was like, why don't you come with me? So then I saw it as an opportunity, like, oh, I get to hang out with my dad more. I get to see my dad more. Like, let me do that.
So that was like the blessing, you know, of being around them, which is huge, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing. It's really nice to be, you know, to have him around through all that time. And even now, like, to see all this stuff would be incredible. Like, I tell my wife all the time, like, he would be at our house every weekend, like with the water, with the boat, with the fishing and all that stuff. And then as far as the real estate, I mean, he'd be there probably every day doing something or helping with the properties, or like, hey, let me go see what the workers are doing or stuff like that. So I think that would be huge. So it's a blessing.
Those old school Italians, by the way, they just don't stop.
No.
My nonna comes over to my house and she's in the, like, we'll have a party at my house in Trumbull. It's like an acre property. People come in through the front door. My nonna shows up. She just walks right to the backyard and starts like picking up leaves and looks at the garden and like cleaning branches and shit.
My mom, the same thing. Like in the summer, we have our garden on the side of the house and like the 2 windows face that way.
Yeah.
So like we're just sitting there and like
Who's
watching
in the
TV.
backyard?
And
We're
like,
like,
you see her go by and we're like, shit, the garden. Like we're like, oh. And she's like, look at all this arugula. We're like, hey, yeah, ma, you know, like come in the front door, like see what's going on first, you know? Yeah, they like do the sweep of the land first, and then they come in to see what's going on. But I love you, ma.
Yeah.
We love that you do that.
So fun.
Or they come over and it's like I just say, ma, just like for Christmas and stuff, just chill out. You know, have a drink, sit down. Oh, what do you want me to do? Nothing? Yeah, I want you to do nothing. I want you to just relax and, you know, not like pick up dishes, just chill. Like let us take care of it.
Oh
but
my God.
they're always in go mode.
Always.
Yeah.
It's like my nonna, we go over for dinner on a Sunday or for like Christmas, we were there, and like she's bringing out 4 courses at once. Like, no, I'm like, let's take a break and slow things down. And then we eat and we're stuffed, and she's clearing out the stuff, bringing dessert. We're like, no, like enjoy the company for a little bit. She's like, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
That's what I say all the time. And they laugh. You know what's funny is like sometimes when we're all together, they'll watch like a Sebastian Maniscalco special. And like, yeah, we're all laughing and they're crying laughing. And I'm like, this is our life. That like, you know what I mean? Like this is our life that this guy is talking about. You know what I mean? Like you guys think it's hysterical, but this is like everything he's saying is like our growing up, you know, which is pretty hysterical.
That's great.
Yeah.
You told me a story at 16, being asked to stay late at a party.
Yeah.
And I had a friend, Sean Carroll, on the podcast. He told me about handling small accounts because you never know when they could turn into larger opportunities.
100%.
And this was a similar story. And I want to hear what happened that night.
Yeah. So we were, I was just driving. I was 16 years old, and it's 16 or 17. And I ended up, we were DJing a Christmas party up in Milford. And it was, you know, I had my buddies were downtown New Haven. You know, we were all going to get together. And the guy came up, and at the end of the night, he said to my father, not at the end of the night, it was like 10 o'clock. He's like, Ralph, can you stay another hour? So the guy like gave my father some money, and my father's like, yeah, don't worry about it. You know, we'll stay till 11. So I'm like, Dad, I got to go. You know, he's like, don't worry about it. So guy came up at 12 o'clock, stay another hour. And my dad's like, yeah, no problem. Boom, and everybody's dancing. So now it came up again, and now it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I kind of was aggravated. I'm like, you know, I had a little bit of FOMO back then. You know, like my brother, my boys and everything are all out, and they're having fun, and here I am working. So we packed up, and on the way home, my father's like, listen, I'm going to tell you something. Like, if you're out for the night, you're out for the night, you know? Like, I understand you want to go out. He's like, what do you want to, you know, like go see a girl or whatever, like take her out to breakfast tomorrow. And if she doesn't want to go out to breakfast tomorrow, then don't worry about it, you know? But like, when you're taking care of these people, take care of them. Like, take care of them, because if you pack up at 10 o'clock, the party's over. Right? And they'll say like, oh, let's not call them next year because they ended up leaving at 10. But now you stayed until 3, everybody partied, and you know you're going to get like more business out of these guys. So fast forward like 10, 15 years down the road, the gentleman that hired us, I ended up doing like his kid's baptism, his 3 kids' baptism, his 3 kids' confirmations, his sister's engagement party, his brother's engagement party, his sister's wedding, his brother's wedding. So like so many parties came out of just satisfying them for that one night. You know what I mean? Just staying and not being like, no, we're packing up because that's the time that we got to go. So that lesson, I mean, I'm sure he probably wants to come down and like smack me on the head because like on the way home, I'm like, I can't believe I missed everything. But he's like, one day you'll understand, you know, you'll know. And that's the kind of thing that I take now, you know, like people usually laugh at me. Like I'll go show like a, you know, $1 million commercial property and then do a lease for like an $800 retail space. You never say no. Obviously, like you have to be time conscious of like what's taking your time and everything like that. But as long as you're taking care of everybody, you're going to be okay. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like the one thing that I always remember is that party where I'm just like, take care of people. Doesn't matter. Like tomorrow's always another day. with like friends or whatever, you could always do that another day. Like take care of the people that you have in front of you when they're there, you know?
That translates to any business.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, like you have a prospective client, like focus on them, see what you can do to help, pour into them.
Yeah. I mean, if they're coming to, it's like anything else. Like when somebody, you know, even for contractors now, like if they come to your house, you know, we had a contractor, a buddy of mine that I play soccer with. He came to my house and he had to fix like our ceiling. So he came and he fixed the ceiling of the sheetrock, and then we're in the kitchen and we noticed like we used to have like a little crack in the wall, and it was patched. And then there was like another crack in the stairs or something, you know, like regular sheetrock when it splits, and it was patched. So I'm like, this guy was at our house and just went around and just kind of touched up everything, you know, then asked for the paint and went and painted everything. Like this is a guy now who we've used for the past year and a half, who pretty much does like all of our build outs, all of our construction now, because I know I could put him in a spot and I don't have to go and ask him what to do. Like he just takes care of you. Right. So doing that and looking out for your client's best interest or anybody's best interest is going to like pay it forward so much, you know, just taking a little bit extra of going to patch that wall made me realize like, I love this guy. You know what I mean? Like I didn't ask you to do that, but you did it, you know? So I think that all translates to that story. Just like take care of people, you know?
100%.
Yeah. Don't worry about the end game. Worry about the now game is, you know?
Yeah. Don't think about monetary. Don't, you know, just what can you do to help.
No, what can you do to help, and everything else follows.
Yeah. There's the greatest gift a parent can give their kid. There's a story of you DJing for the first time, or like getting the first call up from the bullpen or from minor leagues. Yeah. So
Parkwood East, in East Haven. I believe it was it was probably like a wedding, but I had to be like all of like 11, 12 years old. I mean, I was, you know, not tall. And I remember, you know, whenever my father, he used to have like a little studio set up downstairs at our house. So when he would go to work, I would sit there and like practice with mixing songs, you know?
Yeah.
So there was a point where he was just like, hey, like, you know, these guys want to dance. Just get up and play some American music.
Did your dad do Italian and you did American?
Yeah. Yeah, that was like the thing, you know? Okay. So he's like, come on, and I was like, Dad, like there's so many people. I mean, the dance floor was packed. Parkwood East, I don't even know if it's there anymore. It changed hands a couple times, but and we used to have like this briefcase that like all the CDs would go in. So he put the briefcase down, and I remember he's just like, I'm telling you to do it because you could do it, you know? He's like, I know you could do it. Just like, don't worry about it. Play the music. You're going to do fine. You know, he's like, I'm not asking any of these other kids here to do it. I'm telling you to do it because I know you could do it. So I think like thinking back at that now, it was like probably the greatest thing he could have said. You know what I mean? Because that's like shit. That's like confidence. You know what I mean? Like he just gave me like the ability to go in. And I remember him saying like, look at the clock. There's a clock in the back of the room. Yeah. Look at that clock. And every time you get up here, look at that clock, because it's going to look like you're looking at the people, but you're like looking out. So I always did that. And like, I remember by like the third or fourth time that I did it, I wasn't looking for a clock anymore. I was like looking at the people. It became like instant that I could do it, you know? And what I always started telling myself was like, dude, my father said I could do this. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this. And then it started giving me the ability to say like, man, I could do this. I'm mixing okay. Everybody's having a good time. I could do this. You know, if they don't like a song that I play, they'll come up and tell me, and I'll change it or whatever, you know, or I'll play another song. So it gave me that confidence to keep on doing that forever, you know?
That is unbelievable.
Yeah. That was one of the coolest things. And that's why, and it helped me too. You know what it did too, is like when I was training people to DJ, a lot of, I didn't take people to weddings. I didn't take them, because weddings to me were pretty laid out, you know, cocktail, dinner, dance, a little bit, you know, and the genre of music was kind of all laid out. Like you're going to come to me and you're going to tell me all the music that you want. I would take people to like Christmas parties, you know, like shared Christmas parties. Yeah. So you have like Anthony's Ocean View would have like 600 people for a shared, and it was like Yale cardio group, hair salon, all these different people. Yeah. Were sitting at different tables. So I would like put a song on, get everybody up dancing, and then just tell the kid like, all right, go ahead, what's next? And he's like, I don't know, what do you think they want to hear? I'm like, I don't know. You got to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, you got to feel this crowd. You got to go off of like, you know, not look out there and say like, oh, what kind of music can I play? Like, you got to feel it and see like what you could play. I said, that's got to be you, because I'm not going to be here all the time. I could be in the bathroom. I could be getting a drink. I could be on a phone call or whatever. Like, you got to be up here doing it. So it wasn't exactly like, actually it probably was like how my dad did it. Like, go, I got to see if you could do it, you know, but I'm trusting you could do it. So do it. because I think like those kind of parties weren't regimented. Like people had to do it like on the fly. You know what I mean?
Freestyle.
Like, like you would be DJing. There's like 500 people dancing, and a kid would come up and be like, "Yo, my girl's mad at me. Can you put on a slow song?" And I'm like, how do you want me to do that? There's like 500 people dancing to like Michael Jackson now. You want me to fit that in? Like, you got to wait. You know what I mean? Like, it was funny for the kids that were working to see that also, because that's also like an interaction with people. Now it's like a negotiation in real estate, right? Like, I can't put on Eric Clapton because everybody's dancing, bro. Like, you're gonna have to figure it out. Like, take her on the dance floor and dance to this, you know? Yeah. So it was pretty cool.
That is so funny.
Yeah. So that was a huge learning lesson for me.
I want to wrap that up with the most important thing you give a kid, your parent, is confidence.
Confidence, 100%. Always. Like even Alessia, man, I tell my daughter, you know, we would practice so much in soccer, so much. Like after practice, I coached her for a while, so we were like constantly together, whatever. And there was some times where she was playing on the field, and she would like not make a mistake, but something would happen, and I would notice that like she looked over to see like if I was watching. So I remember like getting into the car with her, and I'm like, you know, why do you keep on looking at me? You know what I mean? Like I'm not in your ear. I'm not in your body. Like, you have the intangibles to be out there to play the game. Like, you got to make the correction there on the field. Like, somebody beats you, you got to chase them down, you know? And it's the same way with life. Like, I hope to God that I'm here for entire life, but you're going to go through stuff in your life sometimes, and God forbid I'm not here. You need to figure that out. Like, I'm not on the field with you. I could just give you the advice off the field on how to not get beat or how to chase that girl down, but you got to do it, you know? So it was pretty cool. That confidence was kind of like, when you're out in that field, it's you. Like, you got to play. Like, you have to understand it. And it actually it was hysterical once when she was in a game in high school, and it was like a state game. And I remember I told her a long time ago, I said, if you're ever in a game and you get a card, like a yellow card, it's a caution. And I know somebody might not agree with this, but I always said, do not change the way you play, right? Because once you change the way you play, one, you could get hurt. Two, you're going to make a stupid foul, you know?
Yep.
So she's in this game, and she got a card, and I remember, like, we always would make eye contact, you know what I mean? So, like, I remember her getting the card, and she did not change. She stayed physical. She stayed clean with the tackles that she was making and everything, but she never changed. So after the game, she's like, Dad, I remember you said, like, don't change, right? And my coach was saying, calm down, but I just kept on playing. Like, I knew I wasn't going to do, like, anything dirty, but I just was playing, like, cautious, but not, like, I didn't change my whole game, because a girl, if like she was scared to make a tackle, the girl runs by and scores or whatever, you know? So it's pretty cool when they come back and actually listen, you know? So
it works.
It really is. Yeah, it works. It's like some of the stuff they listen to. So when they come back and listen, it's pretty cool.
That is so funny.
Yeah, when like a lesson goes your way, it's not bad.
So you have a daughter, Alessia. You have two stepdaughters?
Yeah.
And wife, Gina.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Wait, all girls.
I know. Jesus.
Yeah.
The family full of women.
Family full of women. Even the dog passed, but the dog was a girl too, Bella. Yeah. So yeah, it's fun.
That is so funny. How did you and Gina meet?
Through mutual friends.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Didn't it take a while or something for you guys?
It took. I mean, she was. You know, her kids were younger, so I think like the whole getting together always took a while. You know what I mean? Because like, you know, my kids have this weekend, my kids have that this weekend, so it was always like a tough time to get together. You know.
You guys have a great relationship, though. You're a big family guy.
Yeah.
You guys are always together, hanging out on the weekend.
She loves her family. You know, like my niece. You know, we met Elena.
Yeah.
Like Elena this weekend, like rented a house up in the Berkshires, and like we all went. You know what I mean? Like no really anything crazy. Just like went up there, chilled out with each other, played some games.
Yep.
And that's it. So yeah, we really like. I think that comes from a lot of her background, a lot of my background, and we really like focus a lot, like being around them, you know?
Like, you mean quantity of time?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially like, you know, being on the lake, like I feel like always, you know, like their friends and everything are always at that house, you know, which is cool. So it's like you're constantly always entertaining and everything. And it's kind of funny because, you know, when the house is quiet, it's almost like too quiet. Like, what's going on? Where is everybody? You know?
Yeah.
So I think like, you like doing that because, again, like we come from a background of creating memories and always wanting your family around and doing those things. And as much as maybe I didn't see it like when I was 15, 16 years old, you know, like you see it a lot now, like as you get older, you're like, all right, man, it's really cool to have your kids around, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you are the hosting house. People come to your house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
During the summer or all the time? I mean, during the summer,
yeah, we have like kind of like a winter, my friend always says like, this house is depressing in the winter. You know what I mean? Because it's like snow and stuff, but it's still nice to look out there. But I mean, in the summer, we do we have an outdoor kitchen, we do pizza, we do cooking and stuff like that. So I think everybody, we kind of like to entertain and like the house full of laughter, memories, that type of stuff.
That is awesome. We grew up the same way, having people over using the pool, the backyard, wiffle ball.
Constantly.
It's the best.
It is. There's nothing like that because I feel like you're creating memories. You have your family around, like Gina, I remember one of the things she always said was like, I wish our house, we're on a lake, so it's not like you have a basement or anything. So she's like, I wish we had like a basement or whatever. But it was kind of cool. Like, cause even like during COVID, we were sitting there and, I'm not going to lie. Like I was watching shows that the girls were watching. So I'm watching like Love Island UK, but we're all watching it together. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, it's cool. You know what I mean? It's not like one person could go in their room, that person can go in their room. So it's kind of like, you keep that like we're all together kind of deal,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You and your parents had a really good relationship.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You said they were like a team, right?
My parents were a team. Yeah. No matter where like my mom went, like my dad, my dad would try to push my mom. Like if he was working, he would say like, hey, you go, take the car, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, they kind of like were always together doing like cute little projects around the house together.
Yep.
Like always doing that type of thing, vacationing and stuff like that. Always was, them hanging together.
Did you guys go on vacation together as a family usually, or did they go by themselves sometimes?
No, we were always together. I mean, vacations were like Italy, up to see my mom's family, like Canada, Rochester, which is like a lot what we do now, like right now it's like, if there's like a weekend free or, we have like 3 or 4 days, like we kind of drive up there and just sit around and eat, talk, laugh, drink, and that's it, play cards or just, I don't know, watch movies. And it's kind of like we're doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like that's the stuff that we did. I mean, we'll do like Aruba sometimes or different vacations, but like, especially during this time, we try to do that as much as we could. It's a nice reset, especially for like what we have going on daily. It's a nice reset just to go and kind of like, you're not in the middle of nowhere where you're totally shut off from business, but you could go and like have some laughs and everything with your family. I think that's like kind of like nothing better,
I agree. And I think you hear quality of time versus quantity of time. And I was reading something recently and I see this with my brother-in-law and my sister and their 4 boys. I think quantity time is more important than quality time because the more time you spend, you never know when you'll catch something that might be special. You do a good job. It sounds like quantity of time with the family, which is important.
It is.
And turning it off and being there with them. Yeah,
it totally is. Because I mean, I think that makes us, I read an article too about like being at your kids' like sporting events or being there for them. And I think it's important because I mean, especially like when that whole COVID thing, like Alessia was a senior in high school. And I think it's cool because, I mean, it kind of sucked them because they're like, oh, parents can't go to games, So I was like, I'm sneaking it. You know what I mean? So Alessia's like, Dad, I'm like, I would sneak it. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to sit in a parking lot and not watch you. God forbid anything happens or whatever, You can't get in trouble for that, right? Like, that? No, I might have lied.
Statute of limitations.
So like what I'm saying is that, like it was to be there and witness the games or witness like the after, like taking them somewhere.
Yep.
Or even before the game, if they're at the house and like, I remember the start of her senior season, when her and her friend found out that they were starting the next game. They were up all night, like nervous, like 2 o'clock in the morning, open up the door and they're like sitting there like whatever. And they went out and crushed the game. Crushed it. She scored in like the first 8 minutes of the game. Yeah, it was just unreal. So it's just like remembering all that and being there for that is a godsend. Like I think like you could check some bucket list things off just by being there for like your kids' like happiest moments,
That's awesome. Part of this too is the career jobs you had.
100%.
DJ business worked for yourself. Getting into real estate, working for yourself, and like you're able to go to these events, which is awesome. Yeah. You don't have to ask somebody for permission to go. You could just go.
Yeah, and you would. And one thing I have to say is that I tell the agents now also is like, even though, and again another thing like I learned from my dad, like knowing it's your business as long as you turn the key every day.
Yeah.
I think like if Alessia has a game at 3:45, I know I gotta, especially like if it's on the shoreline area and I have to leave at like 2 o'clock or 1:30, I go to the office at 6. Like even when I didn't have the brokerage, like I would get my stuff done early. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I would have like 5 to 6 hours of work done. And then I'm going to the game. So even though I check out for 2 hours, I already got to jump on the day, know? So then I think, and now if there's an event like a Champions League game and I want to watch it at 3:45, I get my stuff done during the day. I'm not saying I don't I shut off my phone and I don't answer, but I take care of a lot of stuff that I have to take care of early. It's not like I just say like, you know what, there's a game at 3:45, close the door all day. No, like I get up, I try to do everything I have to do. And then like for those 2 hours that I get to chill out and watch the game, I'm kind of like, all right, I put in the work this morning. You know what I mean? Like I did what I had to do.
Yeah.
So I think with us and even a lot of agents that are independent contractors, as long as you give to your business every day, you know, there's a lot you could do in real estate in 2 hours, or there's a lot you could do in lending. You can make a lot of phone calls in 2 hours. You could send a lot of emails. You could send a lot of text messages. And then can you chill out for another 2 hours? Yeah. And then just get back at it. But you could do a lot with like 2 to 3 hours a day. That's why, like, what, you know, a lot of people say part-time agents, like, dedicate a couple, like, you know, if you work in another job, you know your schedule. Yeah. So on a Sunday night, you look at your schedule, and I tell them, like, let me know your schedule for the week, and then we could punch in some days that we could get a lot of stuff done, you know? So as long as you show up every day, you'll be all right.
Agree 100% with that.
Yeah. In anything, I feel like, you know? Life, everything. You know what I mean? Like, even... You know, I'm not saying eat like crap or whatever, but you get out and you do 30 minutes, whether you do 30 minutes in the morning and then 30 minutes in the afternoon, that's an hour. Yeah. You know, walk, do something. Like, as long as you do that during the day, it's you're giving back to, again, your body and everything, you know?
Yeah, in this business, I think you could be, in any business, you could be flexible with your time, but like I work 7 days a week. Yeah. I put in a few hours every weekend, like on a Saturday, a few hours, and Sunday, a few hours. On something, but like that gives me the flexibility to peel out at 2 o'clock if I want to do on a Tuesday because I have to go do something.
100%. Saturday is my favorite day to go to the office.
Oh my God, crush Saturday mornings.
Saturday mornings, like coffee. Get there in the morning, like you know, put some music on and just work. And then like before you know, it's 1 o'clock. And now when I go out, like if we got to go out at night or do something with the family or whatever, I'm like, man, I crushed today. Like I did a lot today. And then Sunday, I'll mess around with Sundays too, you know?
Unreal. I just put up a story this past Saturday about that. I don't know if you remember seeing that, but it was like, you know, got in at like 9:30, stayed till 1:30, and because nobody's reaching out to you, you can knock out a ton of tasks. And then, like you said, you leave and you're like, all right, just dominated 4 hours. Yeah. Got a ton done.
I love it. I love it. I think that's awesome, and I think it's something to be said for yourself too. Like, can you wake up and just sit at home and watch like Sports Center or whatever all day? 100% you could probably do that, but what's it going to do for you? You know, like at 5 o'clock I'm going to be like, Vinny, what did you do all day, bro? Like, what did you do? You know, like even the other day with the snow, I mean, it's, you know, it's snowing, it's crazy, whatever, like it's going to be bad out. Do you got to be in your car driving around? No. But if you're home, like we watched a movie, we hung out, but I had my laptop, banged out like 2 to 3 hours of emails, prospecting, reading, doing that stuff. So you don't feel like today was a total waste. And then the next morning, boom, shower, and we're out. You know what I mean? Like back to the office. So I think showing up every day is key.
So you get into real estate 2015?
Yeah, Calcaney Real Estate. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great. So Joel, we were talking about Joel Grossman. So
great guy.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. I was in real estate class, and he was in class, and I didn't know obviously who he was. Teacher asked us to bring in our bills to go over mill rates for taxes. So I bring in mine, he brings in his, he's sitting in front of me, and she's like, oh, Woolkit. So I tap him on the shoulder. I'm like, hey, you live in Woolkit? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I live in Woolkit. He's like, oh, cool. You know, so she starts talking about it. And then she says, like, you know, Joel has this something in Lake Hitchcock. So I'm like, you live in Lake Hitchcock? He turned around, like, yeah. I'm like, well, get out of here. I'm like, dude, I live on Lake Hitchcock. So after class, we start talking, and end up Gina's a hygienist. Yep. And we start talking about work and blah, blah, blah. And what do you do? What do I do? Like, where do you live? This and that. So he's like, oh, Gina does my mom's teeth, So like, way. Yeah, we know each other. So we kind of hit it off and started talking. So he introduced me to Calcaney Real Estate in Wallingford, where I started.
Unreal. Yeah. So you were there. When did you open up your own brokerage?
Last year.
Awesome.
Yeah, April 2023. 20. Yeah. So this April coming up is going to be 2 years.
Oh, so 22.
22. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No,
22.
All good.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember these years.
Yeah, it's blending together.
Yeah.
And you bought a building in Southington, right?
Yeah. So Abbey Park, Abbey South, part of like an acquisition group that's there, which is awesome. Yeah. So it's a beautiful, center of Southington. So Southington's like not because we're there, but it's just like I don't know, feels like home, feels like that office, and everything's been there. The people are awesome. The downtown area is pretty great. We have like a lot of newer restaurants opening up. So just meeting the people within the building. We have a lot of great, like, insurance companies, attorneys, different groups in there. So it's just it's been a ride. You know, been a crazy month. Highs and lows, but it's been good.
You've got an awesome building. I love the coffee shop downstairs. Great,
yeah,
beautiful
Southington
building.
Coffee House.
Yep. Downtown Southington, when I visited, unbelievable. It was actually really cool.
Yeah, there's a new Dial 9 place that just opened up. So it's like a speakeasy.
No way.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. You walk in and there's like all books.
Yeah.
You tap on a phone and it opens up into like this pretty cool bar. Yeah.
Unreal.
Really, really cool. So Dial 9, you have Fireplace, Anthony Jack's. There's a Ace Nonna pizza place down there. So there's a pretty cool spots down there. 75 Center, Ideal Tavern. Wow. Yeah, it's like a nice strip, and they have plans to do like at the end there about like 170, 180 units.
Wow.
So that'll be nice also.
What's your goal with the Southern, because you're still leasing out space in
Yeah,
the building, right?
So we have about 10 to 12 spaces available. So what we did now is just plain vanilla boxed it.
Yeah.
So, new LED lighting, all new drop ceiling, took all the old carpeting and everything out, touched up all the walls, made sure like all the HVAC and everything is running correctly. And now we're just kind of letting people come in, like if we just had a hairstylist come in and she just wants to kind of build it out herself. So we ran hot and cold water, and then like she's going to put in her flooring and everything. Or there's spots, we just had a therapist come in, take about 1,200 square feet. And we built it out for him. So, we'll be able to, make office space, add windows, whatever she wants. So we offer built to suit options, but we also offer for people the ability to come in and kind of design it themselves.
That's awesome.
I love it. It's pretty cool. Again, it's like a different part of real estate. I love we have residential agents and everything. Yep. So we love the residential, but commercial is pretty cool because it's, I don't know, starting a business, a house is one thing. You get into somebody into a house is cool, but getting people into a business is pretty awesome.
Big livelihood.
What I mean? Yeah, it's a big livelihood. So it's pretty dope.
So I want to talk about telling the story in real estate. This is probably like the most important thing that I've heard in the last couple weeks. Let's start with, as a DJ, what did you do for a consultation with a client? You didn't meet them in an office. You didn't like pull out a PowerPoint and like start talking to them. What did a consultation look like?
So I had an office, and then I had a smaller office I was just telling you and your dad about, and then I ended up doing like a showroom down in East Haven where I would set up all my stuff. So I'm big on visual. So people could come in and they could say like, hey, I want this and that. But for them to come in and see like, oh, this is the photo booth, this is the lighting, this is the stuff you use, it makes it a lot easier for them to feel comfortable in booking it. But what I used to do was, I'm a big tell the story guy always since day one. So if I had a couple coming in, if you come in and you're like, hey, we're thinking about getting married, would love to talk to you about a wedding, I would tell the people to come to a wedding I was DJing, like at Anthony's Ocean View. I would say, hey, show up at 9:30 and, I'll have a little bit of time and I could talk to you.
Yep.
So 9:30 is kind of like dance floor is packed. People are dancing, everything. So you walk in and you're walking into like, is this a club? Like, we had the lights going. Yeah. We had the music pumping, so I would step away, go talk to them, hey, here's a glass of champagne or a drink or whatever you want. And then we would start talking about like, hey, this wedding is, and now I'm able to speak and show, like, hey, you see the lighting that we have right now? The bride and groom picked the lighting because they wanted that club atmosphere. You see that photo booth over there? Everybody's enjoying it. Like they're looking now and they're like, wow, I want that. I like that. But the other thing, it was like showing you in action. It was basically like in today's day and age, like I'm going live.
Yes.
Boom. Here's me rocking the
yeah.
party. Or if I was doing like little clubs in New Haven, there was a point like where I was doing Diesel downtown New Haven. So I would tell them to come in there at 10 o'clock at night, Wednesday night in Diesel. It's packed. Yeah. People are like jammed. So I would tell people to come in there. And again, they're seeing you in action. They're seeing, because I could only sit here and tell you what I'm capable of. But when you see it, that's the story. Like you're like, wow, this kid had like 300, 400 people. They were going from 50s to 60s to 70. Like they were mixing all the genres and keeping them on the dance floor during it. So it was pretty cool.
That is awesome. Now, in real estate, we do the same thing.
100%. I try to. You have to, I think.
But it sets you apart. So instead of saying, if you're an agent, I just sold this house in 4 days. Or we just sold this house at $30,000 above asking.
Yeah.
what would you say you should do instead?
I 100% think like,
because there's a bigger story. The timeline's much longer than 4 days.
100%. Like Vinny Ferrucci.
Which makes it seem like it's a lot easier to do.
Yeah.
Than what it really is. If you're just saying I sold a house in 4 days, anybody could do that.
100%. I mean, and that's the thing where a lot of people are looking at real estate agents saying like, oh, this market is so crazy, like anybody could sell a house. So like Vinny Ferrucci sold a condo in North Branford. He sold it in 4 days. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you sold it in 4 days, but the kid spent 4 to 5 months before he listed the house. It was the seller wanted to sell that house, move to New Hampshire, but she had to go quick, and she didn't have the ability to empty out her house. So this kid took on getting a gentleman from a consignment shop to go in and take a look at all the furniture.
Yep.
Ended up contracting somebody to go in and clean out all the furniture. Then got a cleaner to clean out the house. And now he's QB and all this. She's in New Hampshire. Got a moving company to move her stuff to New Hampshire, right? So he facilitated all that, right?
Yeah.
So if you sit there and say, hey, I sold this condo in North Branford for $25,000 over asking in 4 days, everybody's going to be like, excellent, you know? But if you go back and you tell the story, like, I put like a lot of work into this. Like I pretty much A to Z this whole thing. You know what I mean? Like I took care of point A to point Z for the lady and kind of just said, hey, your check's on its way to New Hampshire, you know? So she's sitting in New Hampshire in a brand new house. All this thing is getting taken care of. That's the story you got to tell. You know what I mean? Like that's the story that everybody I think would benefit from hearing, because how many people are in that same situation? Like I know I could sell my house for $50,000 over asking, but where am I going to go? Who's going to move all this stuff for me? Who's going to clean up all this stuff? Now all of a sudden, if they're looking and they see a post, they're like, I'm going to call that guy. He's going to take care of everything for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in New Hampshire having a coffee. This guy's going to be taking care of everything for me. He's going to be like, not even my realtor, like my home advisor. He's going to be like taking care of all this stuff for me. And then the selling in 4 days becomes an afterthought. You know what I mean? That becomes like a yay. Everything else becomes like, oh my God, thank you. What would I do without you?
The meat and potatoes.
Yeah, the meat and potatoes.
In my business as a lender, it would go from, I just financed a investment loan at 6.75% interest rate, yada, 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 to, I had a consultation with this client. It's a former friend that used to work on Wall Street with me. Now they're in management consulting out on the West Coast. They want to start investing in real estate because they have some extra capital.
Yeah.
They don't know where to start. They don't know what markets to look in. Here's how we determine what markets to look in. We went over single-family rentals, multifamily rentals, student rentals, midterm rentals. We talked about high-level financing, how much money he's going to need for the down payment and closing costs, how much for furnishing the place, how much for renovations, how to lease the property. We then discussed connecting him with a local agent and connecting with an insurance company and title company. And like you lay out the whole picture, then it's like, wow, it's a lot more into that.
Yeah, it's a lot more into just like, hey, can I get financing? You know what I mean? And that's the thing, like educating, advising the people, you know what I mean? Like letting them know like what it takes, because the same thing, like going back to the DJing. Yeah, I want to hire you as my DJ, but there's so much more that we could do for you. We could do like event decor. We could hang curtains for, like we could do so much more, but they don't know that unless they come in and ask. A phone call is a phone call. Hey, I need you to DJ. Great. What day? This day. Okay. 1,200. Bye. You know how much you just left there, Yeah. Not saying like the service wise, forget, and I'm
experience,
not even
the experience could be much better.
100%. Like I'm not even talking about the money part of it. I always said another thing that I always said was, and I tell the agents this also, if you go, like let's just say you and I go to a party, and we go to a wedding. Like we go to a wedding and we're hanging out, and the wedding is at like, whatever venue. So we go to the venue and we're hanging out. We're having like a great time at the wedding. There's like the food. There's not like a lot of food set up, right? After you and I go to a diner, we eat. Next day, we're with all our friends watching football, right? Shane comes up to us. He's like, yo, how was the wedding last night? We're like, oh, it wasn't bad. We hit the diner on the way home. Wasn't a lot of food. He's like, oh, where was the wedding? Oh, is that whatchamacallit venue? This kid's going to think like, oh, the venue didn't put out enough food. But he doesn't know that the bride and groom are the ones who kind of cheaped out on the food. They didn't want to spend a lot, right? But the venue always goes underground for it. So now when you think about real estate, like you buy a house, and let's just say like, not that lenders mess up, but like something goes wrong with an attorney, something goes wrong with a lender, inspector, or whatever. You're moving your stuff into your house. Your friend comes over. He's like, hey, how did everything go? Oh, it was such a hassle. You have no idea what we went through. Who was your agent? Vinny Valentino. You know what I mean? Not saying that I did anything wrong. It could have been everybody else, right?
Yeah.
But those people are going to ask, who was your agent? They're not going to care, like, who's your lender? Who's your inspector? They're going to be like, who was the agent? Because the agent's like the front person who takes care of everything.
Yeah.
So if you could control all those things and make sure that everything is seamless, when they come over, what are they going to say? You got to call Vinny. You know, you got to, he'll have a lender for you. He has an inspector for you. He's got everybody. God forbid something goes wrong. He has somebody who could even come fix something wrong with the inspection. Like, you're an all-in-one service.
Yeah.
It makes the story a lot easy. It makes it like a lot more easy for them to say, like, oh my God, you got to call this kid because he's amazing.
They take everything off your plate.
Take everything off your plate. So it's perception, right? Like, as long as you take care of them, everybody's going to be happy. So that's what I like about the wedding thing, because a lot of people say, like, oh, that wedding place doesn't put out enough food. No, like, the bride and groom didn't pay. You know what I mean? So, like, if they're not paying, what's this guy supposed to do? Give you free food? You know? So they're all lessons. Man, real estate and DJing is so similar. And then more and more I think about it. Like every time I talk about it, I'm like, man, it's so like little.
Every
similar.
business has those
100%,
parallels.
100%.
The one thing that I think is huge that you brought up is getting people in person. In client consultations, I don't need to be in person. We do a lot on phone calls, but we've now switched to Zoom. And if I can meet somebody in person, I will do that. It's tougher, but Zoom is the bare minimum, and then I would rather meet them in person.
Yeah.
Because you get so much more out of them. You get facial expressions. You could dive deeper. So
yeah, Vinny and Vito had a consultation in the office the other day. Started the consultation at 10. At 4 o'clock, he was showing the kid houses, you know, like, because it became a reality. Like, got all the information. We're looking at the MLS. We're looking at condos. We're answering questions right in front of you. You know, like, hey, why is that condo on for so long? Let's look at it. Let me show you why. Do you, like, this condo needs some work? Do you want to do work? No, I don't. Okay, then let's look at the ones that sold for a little bit more. Now, Vito, can we tweak the numbers and get him to this number? Like, all those conversations through text messages. I mean, it took 2 hours to go through at a table. Yeah. Through text messages, what happened? A day, 2 days, least, 3 days. Then what happens? You get tapped out. The buyer gets tapped out. They're like, let's just lease for another year. I can't do it. Yeah. Right? But if you're in person and you're talking about it, it's a reality. You know, it's like looking for a car. I look on a car online, nothing. You go to the lot and start looking. You're like, all right, it's real. Like, now it's time to get a car.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
I think that's the biggest thing. You know.
Any other lessons you had from your dad? Because he passed in 2009, right? Yeah.
My dad passed in 2009, and I think the greatest lesson I could think, like, was just watching him, like, live. You know what I mean? Yeah. 100%. Like, I don't know if that sounds weird or not, but, like, watching him interact with family, friends. The radio show, by the way, that he did on a Saturday morning, it was nonprofit. So for 8 to 10, like, he's there, you know, like, free, doing what he loves, but also doing it for people in the community, because he wanted to keep that Italian music going, you know? So the Sounds of Italy, like, that's why I do the Sounds of Real Estate podcast. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's like an homage, but it's also like, I don't do it for myself, like, just like you don't. I like bringing people on that talk about what they do in the industry to obviously give you, like, hey, somebody could use Gaetano, somebody could use an attorney, somebody could use this person. So that's why, like, I think for me, the biggest thing, like, biggest lesson would be the way he lived, you know, nice, caring, taking care of people, always thinking about other people before himself, and teaching, like, these lessons throughout. Like, you could bring my cousins in here, my brother, anybody, and they'll say, like, my friends, forget it, man. You bring my friends in here, they'll be like, oh, I remember the shit your father used to say all the time. You know what I mean? Like, 100%. They would tell you, like, oh, I remember his stories. I remember his teachings. Like, he was always, like, giving us little tidbits. So 100% the way he lived, because it's kind of like the legacy he laid out is, like, something like I like to emulate now, you know? Like, trying to keep, like, the everything, you know, looking at two sides of it. Like, you're going to have your awful things that happen. Like, even his passing was, like, such a tough thing to deal with at, like, 33 years old. But it's kind of like, all right, this guy made an amazing story. Now it's time for my amazing story, you know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, this was a blast.
Yeah, no, it was good. This is awesome stuff, man.
So much fun.
It's like we're pumped up and we're run through a wall.
Yeah, literally. Well, thank you for coming out.
My pleasure, man.
I hope everyone enjoys it.
It was great. This is great. We could probably talk for hours.
We really could. and we'll do this again hopefully in a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Shane.
Thanks.
Thank you, bro.
Awesome.
See you guys.
Thanks, Shane.